Wow, what a race. Lots of highs, lots of lows, lots of crashes, lots of virtual cars, lots of debris on this track in the first race in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. What a phenomenal race. It started off Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, Max Verstappen starting out in the race. And really the race started quite dramatically off the front. This is a very fast track. Lots of blind turns, lots of blind corners, and there's not much runoff on this track. So really a dangerous track, dangerous race, lots of things on the line. The championship is on the line. Max Verstappen 8 points up coming into this race. So obviously very high stakes. The race started off with Lewis Hamilton taking the lead and really Max Verstappen fighting to hold on to the race. And really it was a battle the entire time just to keep up and to make sure that he's keeping ground on Hamilton in the beginning. And then a few opportunities came up. Now there was lots of virtual safety cars that was happening here. So at around lap 7, Bottas was actually trying to let Hamilton know, you go ahead, start making up some pace so I can get into your DRS zone to get away from Max Verstappen, who was right behind Bottas at the time. Now, while a virtual safety car was out, the Mercedes team went and pitted and got a fresh set of new tires. But because this track really hard to overtake in this track, Max Verstappen and the Red Bull team decided to take a gamble and stay out there with his tires. This was a gamble that paid off because there was a red flag that came up from Mick Schumacher's crash. No one could have saw this happening. Honestly, at first I thought this is kind of a bad gamble. The tires are deteriorating. We actually saw in scenes after Max Verstappen's tires looked really bad at this point when he was brought into the pit. So he was lucky that he was able to go ahead and do a tire change. But this was a big gamble that they took. It did pay off. There was a lot of things happening in this race, and I think a lot of the times you have to think about, are there going to be more crashes, more incidences, more debris, more virtual safety cars? And if there was one race that showed us there was all of this, it was this race in Jeddah in this circuit. Again, this track was very dangerous, right? You have lots of blind turns, and there's not much runoff. Really, if you're going off of the track, you're headed into a wall. And there's a lot of danger in that. So they have to be really cautious, very careful. You could, lose your entire race just by going off with one mistake. And the rest of the teams thought, listen, this is going to happen more than once. And it definitely did. Lots of accidents happened. Lots of clashes between race cars from every single team basically on the circuit and the grid. Now, after the red flag, they're going to go at it again. And Hamilton comes out with an amazing start. And Max Verstappen just didn't get a great start off the line here. But he went and fought back. A little bit dirty again. There's a lot of controversy that happened from this in Mexico, and it's coming back again here. But Max, fought him off again. Ocon actually came up in second place, so now you have Max first, Ocon second, and Hamilton in third, and that's what set up the race. Eventually, Ocon gets passed by Hamilton, and it becomes, again, a Max Verstappen versus Hamilton showcase in the middle of this race. Now, at about lap 20, this is where the gamble on tires have taken place. Lewis Hamilton and Bottas went with the hard tire, and that was recommended. We saw tire degradation happening on this track. And again, it was the first time everyone's on this track in Jeddah. No one really knows what's happening, but Max had the medium tire. And from what we were seeing, the medium tire was degrading at a faster clip. So really the gamble was, can Max handle the tire management on this medium tire and hold off the race? He decided he wanted to take the leading position in this circuit. Hard circuit to take over people in the circuit. So he decided to go ahead and take that lead. So from lap 20 to 27, so Max was really just trying to hold on to this lead and hold off Lewis Hamilton from taking it. And the question was, will these medium tires hold? Will that hold for him? And honestly, throughout the race, I was thinking in my head, I don't know if this is going to happen, because Lewis Hamilton was keeping behind Max in the same time frame. I would have expected Max start picking up the pace, start, leading in terms of the time, but he wasn't able to pull ahead of Hamilton more than 1.5 seconds. So Hamilton put himself in a position where he was close to the DRS zone to go ahead and overtake Max Verstappen. So he was kind of in danger, and that's when I started to think this gamble actually might not pay off. Now, more drama happens in lap 37. Max is holding on to the lead because of an overtake that happened earlier where Max maybe pushed him off of the track and went over track limits. He had to go ahead and give back position. So he was instructed by the Red Bull team to give position back on the straight. So he lets go of his car essentially and pulls back on the power. But Hamilton doesn't know this, and because there are so many virtual cars that have come out, so Lewis Hamilton didn't really know what to do. Should he overtake Max Verstappen in front of him? And he kind of froze and hit into Max Verstappen, and this caused all sorts of chaos. It was crazy, and this was in lap 37. So Max Verstappen at this point, thinks to his head, I gave him the opportunity. He bumps into me and he starts gunning it again. And Lewis Hamilton's kind of losing his mind. The Mercedes team is losing their mind. Everyone doesn't know what's going on. You have the Mercedes team losing their stuff on the FIA on this. So lots of back and forth happening on this. Lewis Hamilton's obviously not happy. Max Verstappen decides, to go ahead, continue on into the race, and then give back that position. So it was really lots of stuff happening in this race. A lot of crazy stuff. Lewis Hamilton didn't understand why. He didn't think that this was an opportunity to pass. And you know what? Listen, I have to say, in that position, Lewis Hamilton should have probably just passed him. I think Max Verstappen gave him enough room. If you look at the video, he definitely had enough room on the left-hand side of the track, on the inside line of the track, to go ahead and overtake Max Verstappen, but he didn't do it. I think it was a combination of things. The team maybe didn't inform him in time. He was confused. A lot of things are happening in this race. Tons of virtual cars came up on this race. So who knows what happened, but he just didn't overtake Max, hit into the back of him, caused all sorts of commotion and chaos. So coming to lap 43, Max Verstappen still has the lead. He's given a 5-second penalty because of, infringing on a overtake and making himself go off of track limits. Takes a 5-second penalty, but then he also gives the position away to Lewis Hamilton when he didn't have to. The Red Bull team actually told him, you didn't have to give him that position, Max, and he gave it to him. And I guess because Max gave him the position earlier, but then overtook that position right away, leveraging the DRS. A nice sneaky move by Max again, but again, he thought he had to go ahead and give up that position properly, and he did. The Red Bull team actually didn't think he had to. So again, more confusion on this track with so many things going on. It was just really crazy, to be honest with you. And so now Lewis Hamilton has the lead, and we finally start seeing that medium tires start to work against Max Verstappen and the Red Bull team. It was starting to degrade. The rear tire was having no traction. Max was out 6, 5, 7 seconds now behind Lewis Hamilton, who's got that hard tire, taking the lead, and Lewis Hamilton wins the race in Jeddah. What an amazing race. It was crazy. Lots of controversy, a lot of crazy things that are happening. Now Lewis and Max are tied in the championship standings going into the last race in Abu Dhabi. So lots of drama, lots of craziness. I think this track really fun, really fast, but I think they have to do more with runoff. I don't think they honestly designed this track properly, thinking about what could happen. You're going to have a lot of races come up to this point where cars are going to go into the barrier and they're going to red flag the races. I'm shocked, to be honest with you, that they red flagged the first time. I thought, yes, there was damage to the wall, but to red flag the race like that, it could potentially happen lots, especially on blind turns. It's a very tight and narrow course. So I don't know if they're going to do any changes to the track. There's probably going to be a lot of talk about that. But I think, it was an exciting race, a lot of controversy. I think Netflix will definitely have their heyday on this one. But essentially, for the championship, we're going down to one final race. And it was a great race here. Again, I think a lot of it came down to tire management and tire selection. And I think the tires wore down a lot faster than many teams thought on those medium tires. So we saw Max really start to lose lap time, maybe 18 to 20 laps into those medium tires, and he was losing traction and losing his pace. And Hamilton on those hard tires felt like he was gaining the pace. Even with the damage that he sustained on his front right wing, he was able to go ahead and do a lot of that stuff on a damaged body, on a damaged car. So, big props to Lewis Hamilton again. He's obviously proven his championship caliber, but now it's coming down to a single final race. Let me know your thoughts on this track in Jeddah. Do you think it's a good track? It's fun, it's exciting, but do you think they have to make some adjustments to the track to actually make it more drivable and safe? Let me know in the comment box down below. And again, if you love this video, make sure you give it a like and also subscribe to the channel. Again, covering all these F1 races going forward. It's going to be a great race coming up in the next one, in the final between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. I'll catch you guys in the next video.